Yesterday evening we witnessed Caitlin Clark shoot the final shot of her season a couple of weeks ago. Some who were telling me that it is even worse now that Caitlin Clark is gone and the Women's National Basketball Association is feeling the anguish as if they just lost the winning lottery ticket. I feel like I'm getting pummeled and everyone else's as well. Opponents are able to get away with engaging in physical conflict with me and other individuals. Caitlin Clark has stated that Stephen A. Smith has never wanted to remain silent. Let's be honest, has he ever dropped a bomb on the subject? Caitlin Clark did not want to get away with it. Lee calling out their massive mistake and allowing their brightest star Clark to walk the walk, who created excitement, viewership that broke records, and an unexpected event. She is now taking her abilities to Europe, which is a highlight reel that is unequal in women's basketball. How did the Women's National Basketball Association mess this up? Non-stop fouls and hard play. Clark was eventually driven over the edge by the league's failure to provide enough safety for its most valuable asset. Instead of supporting her, the league chose to take a back seat, and now they are left holding the shards of their broken future to themselves. This is not just a mistake, it's the Caitlin Clark was not just any player. She was the player who packed arenas, sold out jerseys quicker than you could click the add to card button, and had fans glued to their seats. This kind of blunder that gets replayed in blooper reels for years to come, screens as if it were the final episode of their favorite program. And now that she is leaving for Europe, the Women's National Basketball Association is facing a future without their most valuable player. Trust me, the situation is not looking good. But before we get into all the juicy details of this catastrophic failure, make sure to hit that bell button, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. You will want to keep in the loop for notifications, because let's face it, the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA is about to embark on a roller coaster journey, and it's not going to be a fun ride. Stephen Asif didn't hold back when he criticized the WNBA for their enormous amount of mistakes. In a recent interview with a reporter, he expressed his dissatisfaction with the officiating of the league and said, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical." He also struggled with the physical defense he faced at the professional level. It was Caitlin Clark who made the statement that opponents and I are able to get away with things that other people are not able to get away with. He pointed out what everyone's other opponents are doing. It appeared as if she was playing dodgeball, and I have been thinking that the league did not do enough to safeguard Caitlin Clark while she was on the court. She was making dirty MOV moves and repeated fouls. However, the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA did nothing but stand there holding a. Clark wasn't just another face in the crowd, she was the reason people were watching. Just like, what can we do? Maybe safeguard your greatest player. Clark wasn't just another face in the crowd. Caitlin Clark was the light that lit up women's basketball with her jaw-dropping skills and game-winning exploits. Now the Women's National Basketball Association is stuck wondering how they let this one slip away. The saddest thing is that she was the spark that lit up women's basketball, brought in new fans, and got people talking about the fact that losing her is more than just losing a player. It's going to be like losing the heartbeat of the league. In regard to matters concerning Caitlin Clark, when we brought this to your attention, we asked why it was necessary to do so, because as the saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats. This woman is a box office success, and she also has the ability to play, and the combination of the two would ultimately give all of those wonderful ladies for the wonderful work that Stephen A. Smith has done. How can you allow your biggest star to walk away without protecting her? This loss is like getting dunked on in slow motion, and it is terrible, unforgettable. Caitlin Clark was the player who pulled in the audience, and she is delighted that the WNBA allowed her to be ran over. Now she is packing her bags for Europe, where she will receive the respect she deserves. For the WNBA increased the league's image and transformed casual viewers into die-hard supporters. Without her, the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA is rushing to figure out their next step, and let's be honest, it's not going to be easy. Every successful sports league needs a star to carry the banner, and Caitlin was that star. Now this isn't just about one athlete deciding to pursue opportunities overseas, it's about a fundamental breakdown within the WNBA, how they fumbled the ball when they had one of the biggest players in the league. Caitlin Clark's decision to leave the WNBA has shaken up the basketball world, and honestly, it's hard to blame anyone for it. The league is left trying to fill a gap that may be too big to fill. Clark's departure has become a wake-up call not just for the league but also for sports fans and the media. She gave them the opportunity to have stars in women's sports directly in their hands. Clark's decision to leave the Women's National Basketball Association has caused shock waves to be sent out by partners such as ESPN, which were sluggish to become aware of her enormous impact over the course of the basketball community, and it is illustrative of the more fundamental problems that the league is facing, must solve if it intends to keep its top players and continue to flourish. Let's break down why Caitlin Clark's departure from the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA is such a significant deal, and why it indicates that the league has some serious concerns to address. First and foremost, Caitlin Clark wasn't just another player in the league in the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA. She was the player who attracted thousands of admirers. She was the player whose name was on everyone's lips, from basketball fans to casual viewers. We are talking about a 40% increase in viewing, a startling amount that ought to have caused the Women's National Basketball Association and ESPN to rush to put her at the forefront of everything they did, but instead of treating her like a celebrity, she was clearly a star, but they left her vulnerable to severe physical play, constant disdain, and a lack of institutional support. It is not surprising that she made the decision to pack her bags and travel to Europe, where she will be able to play in a more prestigious environment. Clark was able to attract audiences that were comparable to those that attended NBA games during the height of her career in the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA, which is a league that really values her efforts both on and off the court. An average of 177,000 viewers watched each game, which was something the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA hadn't seen in years. If anything, this kind of attention was precisely what the league needed to flourish, but instead of using it to their advantage, they chose to ignore it. It appears that ESPN, the primary media partner of the WNBA, did not provide her with the publicity that she deserved. Clark's climb to prominence should have been a story that was covered by ESPN, significant story, one that dominated sports media, but it was frequently considered as an afterthought. ESPN didn't completely grasp her significance until it was too late, and by that time Clark was already looking at other options in the media's realm. The delayed response to her achievement was reflective of a more widespread problem in the way that women's sports are regarded in general at this point in time. To be fair, Clark wasn't only while she was dealing with a lack of media attention. The more significant problem was what she was experiencing on the court. Game after game, she was subjected to extremely aggressive fouls, the kind that ought to have been called out and penalized immediately. However, instead of enforcing the rules, referees appeared to turn a blind eye. The physicality of the game crossed into dangerous territory as Clark was playing. This wasn't just about rough basketball, it was outright neglect for a player who was giving everything she had to the game. The least the league could have done was ensure her safety, but they didn't, and that's a huge problem. Clark was frequently the target of rough, unnecessary contact that went unpunished. The situation became so bad that she was frequently left to defend herself without any protection from the officials. There are severe concerns regarding the way in which the Women's National Basketball Association WNBA treats its elite players, particularly with regard to their well-being on the court. Players like Clark, who put their bodies on the line every game, need more than simply accolades. This is one of the reasons why she made the decision to split ways with Clark. The failure of the league to guarantee that the rules were followed and that she was not being subjected to undue bodily damage is a glaring mistake. This wasn't simply a one-off issue, it was a systemic problem that reflects poorly on the league. The league's inability to protect them because of their expertise is a glaring oversight. League's capacity to support and protect its most important assets. But it wasn't just the physical fouls that Clark had to deal with. She was also subjected to trash talk and other sorts of disrespect from her opponents. Now everyone is aware that a little bit of competitive banter is a part of the game. Clark was subjected to a level of hatred that went far beyond the realm of athletics. It appeared that there was a culture inside the league that permitted other players to target her in an unfair manner with little to no consequence.